r/AskReddit. Serious, what was something you saw you were definitely not supposed to see? Borrowed my dad's camera. Found out he was gay. Hard drive failed on my dad's computer. The data recovery software did a pretty good job really, but I could have done without recovering nude and lingerie shots of the various women he's been banging behind my mother's back over the years. While my concern is more with things like financial details etc. rather than secret cheating photos. This is basically the answer to my friend's question as to why I dismantled my HDD and smashed the plate to dust before binning it. The code to open all the doors in my primary school at the time. A lot of power to open any locked door for an 8-year-old. I did theater tech in middle school, so they gave me a key to the theater so I could work on stuff when the building was closed. Only, it turned out that the key they gave me was a master. It opened any door in any building on campus built in the last 15-ish years. I told the assistant headmaster pretty much as soon as I figured this out, and he was cool with it since I was basically a responsible kid. But then, this one day, one of the faculty members locked himself out of his apartment and I let him back in. His wife was not pleased, and that's the story of how I lost my ability to work on theater tech stuff whenever I wanted. I used to work in the basement of a pretty large hospital doing engineering work. They'll often cart dead bodies out of the hospital through the basement, so it's usually not a big deal. You just tend to try and ignore it. One time as I was finishing up a test in a pretty remote room, I walked out to an entire security detail escorting a body. I just got immediately shoved back into the room, so nothing really exciting happened, but I always wonder who that could have been. I don't know if I wasn't supposed to see this, as I can't figure out any reasoning behind this beyond maybe exhibitionism, though really I don't want to put exhibitionists in the same group as this couple because goodness gracious. I had a patient who was close to death and we called her daughter. She came and we set her up in the room to stay until her mother passed. She brought her boyfriend, which is not abnormal. I walked in to do my routine check and they were having sex on the cot that was set up for her maybe 15 feet from her dying mother. I mostly didn't want to see, so I am answering this wrong. My third job I had, at 17, was at a pizza place. I had 2 managers, one male, one female, and they were both married to other people. Well, I went to hand in my drawer at the end of one shift and walked into the office, and there they were just making out with some heavy petting. Their spouses found out. They left their families, and then those 2 managers got married to each other. As far as I know, they're still together. Won a used laptop from my female friend in a bet. She had a bunch of nudes on it. Edit. A lot of people are asking what the bet was. I drank a pot of béarnaise for it. She was pretty drunk while making the bet, but I came around next morning to collect cause I didn't drink that pot of béarnaise for nothing. If anybody wants to know how to drink a pot of béarnaise, you just pretend it's soup. David Copperfield show. I was at an angle that allowed me to see the volunteers running out from the stage during a disappearing act. I caught a ball he threw out to get an audience participant, and since apparently I was too young at the time, my mom went up. She was one of 8 volunteers. He went down the line and gave them all envelopes. All of them were told to think of a number. He then instructed them to say the number they were thinking and then opened the envelope, which had a number written inside. Every single one was right. Couldn't ducking believe it. She said she had no idea how and acted amazed. I did some magic and knew how most tricks were done or had a general sense of how they worked, but seeing one like this dumbfounded me. I figured when they did it like that on TV it was all paid actors, but it was my mom, so it had to be real, and I for the life of me could not fathom it. 10 years later that show got brought up. My mom says, oh yeah, no, he just told us all what number to say. Happened when I was 7. I found the Tom and Jerry DVD I had lost in the back of a drawer. In celebration, I decided to watch it again. By the time my mother walked into the living room and saw me watching a threesome, I was already scarred for life. She took away the entire DVD collection. Similar thing happened when I was a kid, at my grandma's. She set me up in her adult stepson's bedroom while the adults upstairs did whatever I can't remember, and after looking through his movie collection decided on a Spice Girls VHS to keep me entertained. Turned out it was some Spice Girls porn parody, and when she came back to check on me she quickly realized and pulled the tape out. I think she was more scarred than I was. I was a very young and forgetful girl, so I don't remember anything specific about it other than it was really dirty. Dude robbed a gas station. I was riding my bike in the back, saw him take off his mask and get in a car. We made eye contact. I turned my head and acted like I didn't see anything. When I was in my late teens, I was sitting with a friend in his car at a set of traffic lights about 3 AM on a quiet street in the city. At the next set of lights ahead, which was maybe 30 meters away, I saw the guy walk up to the car waiting for the lights to change. He extended his arm and fired a shot almost point blank range at the passenger window, before quickly walking off. We sat there in shock for a minute thinking, did we just duck and see what we thought we saw, while the car sat there through 2 more light changes, before slowly rolling away. No other cars were on the street at the time. The next day I saw on the news some dude from a gang called the Assyrian Kings was shot in the head in a car and died right around where we were the night before. We never said about it to anyone as we decided we didn't want to get involved, being paranoid teenagers. My dad's AA chips. Learned it's why my parents got divorced. Proud of him for being in recovery though. Back when I was a teenager, we hosted a New Zealander at our house for a couple weeks. Guy gets to our place after the flight, and about 10 minutes later I'm walking around my house to see where he's at. The door to his room is partially open, and the dude is laying face down on the bed and humping the ever-loving duck out of a pillow. I backed away slowly like Homer when he saw Appa cheating on his wife. I felt bad for the pillow. As a New Zealander, I apologized to you and the pillow. What the actual duck? When I was a young teen, I was once leaving my house to go do something in the neighborhood. As soon as I got out of the door, I heard my parents at the garage. My mother seemed to be in her car, and my father was sitting down behind her car and pleading with her not to leave. My parents were divorcing, and I saw a few scenes that I wish I never had. Not really horrific, but seeing your parents in emotional pain can be rough. I found invitations to my big surprise 18th birthday just lying on the floor a few weeks before the event. I had to act surprised when the time came to walk through the door to the party, which I did. The only thing is, my twin brother also knew, which I didn't know at the time, and let's just say his acting skills are really bad. So we both found out in different ways about the surprise party, but neither of us knew that we found out about it. So when I walked through the door for the surprise, I could tell from his reaction that he knew. I do conventions and corporate events for a living. Was once called into a room to fix a power cable. It was a meeting of a worldwide well-known house paint manufacturer. It was a closed door meeting and I had to be let in to do my job quickly. They didn't stop talking as I did my work. We've pulled all the units from production and recalled all units on the shelves, but the ones still in transit cannot be recalled. They might be caught when they reach the sales floor if the retailers are still watching the recall, but it will have been weeks since we issued it. The guy who then responds to that states that they can prove they did their diligence in court with the recall and any units sold to consumers will be the retailer's fault. I never did get to hear what the recall was for, but they seemed pretty tense over it, legally speaking. So I doubt it was quality control. I felt like I had witnessed the mafia talking about a murder. A while back someone posted a video of a father singing to his baby in the NICU after an emergency C-section. The baby had been taken out early because the mom has died unexpectedly overnight. The baby died shortly after. After I watched that, I felt like I had intruded on someone's private moment with their child, and that I was not supposed to see that. I filter the links I click on a lot more carefully now. I hope that man has found a way to begin his healing. Edit. For those asking, yes, it's the man singing Blackbird. I saw my birthday present in advance. I hated it, and wasn't sure whether to tell my girlfriend as much. In the end I just used my advance notice to practice a good genuinely surprised and grateful reaction. We broke up a few months later because we had so little in common. I've since learned that honesty tends to work better if you want a relationship to work long term. Bad stuff. I saw a car get shot up one time. Good stuff. Discovering poorly hidden Christmas and birthday presents. The owner of the club where my sister worked took an armload of shotguns out of his truck. It was about 3 AM and I was parked behind the bar waiting for her. The reason I know he didn't mean anyone to see is because he covered them with a tarp and he gave a good long stare around when he got out. Shady ducker. He was up to every kind of no good. I literally scrunched down in my seat. Ducking like and subscribe.